I'll just very briefly kick off with laying out my own slightly cynical take on this entire affair before flagging the questions I hope our speakers will discuss. I was driving out of my neighborhood a few days ago late for work when I skipped a red light and I was stopped by the fine gentleman of the Uttar Pradesh police on the other side of that red light. And there was a long queue of us waiting to pay our fines. And when my turn came, the policeman said, why did you jump the light? And I said, look, I'm really sorry. I wasn't paying attention. And I was pulling out my wallet and taking out my license when he said, Aap jaiye, please go. I was a little surprised by this. He'd been taking 1,000 rupees from everyone, and I was grateful also. It's not a small amount of money. So I asked him, why are you letting me go? You've been fining everyone. He said, I've been standing here since 6 o'clock in the morning, and you're the first person who said, I'm sorry I did it. Everybody else has either not jumped the light, or their uncle is about to die in the hospital, or their mother is critically unwell. So just go. And it set me thinking, since this talk was coming up, about whether we actually want police reform as a society. See, Mr. Prakash Singh laid out very correctly all our problems, but why on earth would a parliament with a very high number of people with criminal backgrounds actually want a police force that vigorously prosecutes crime? Why on earth would any of us actually want an incorruptible police force when it's much more convenient to pay 250 rupees when you get busted jumping a traffic light? Why would it's very nice to say you don't want policemen to torture until your car is stolen or your house is burgled and you want the servants beaten up so you can get your property back? We as a society have become profoundly used to not working according to norms, to short-circuiting the rule of law, and to become used to the benefits that follow from a profound and from an iniquitous system. The consequences of that, I think Mr. Prakash Singh has laid out, and I hope the panelists, the illustrious panelists we have will answer just 3 questions in their talks today. The first is, of course, the big question. 10 years after this Supreme Court judgment, which had revolutionary promise for police reform, why is it that so little has happened? I served 2 years on the last security commission we had in Delhi, and it was an utter waste of time. We achieved absolutely nothing. For the last 2.5 years, I haven't actually known whether this body exists or doesn't exist. It is unclear if it does. But nobody actually knows if it's there or not, and so nothing has been achieved. The second question is, why is it that despite an increasingly loud national conversation on the need for security, whether it is because of mass disturbances, whether it is because of the growing appreciation of the need for women's security or issues like terrorism, political parties, all political parties, remain so unwilling to actually put any effort into police modernization. Since 2611, almost no programs put in place for police and intelligence modernization have reached fruition. In the last few months, in the last couple of years, we've actually seen central police modernization budgets slashed, and almost none of the states that were supposed to make up the money actually do so, to a point where several states now have had to cut back night patrolling because they can't afford to fuel their vehicles, or because vehicles are lying disused because maintenance work is impossible. The Congress party had actually promised substantial reforms in its last election manifesto. To my knowledge, in none of the states has this happened. No other party has done it either, to my knowledge, though I'm happy to stand corrected. The final question is why we as a people, despite our loud outrage, actually care so little about this subject. After the Nirbhaya case, we heard an enormous and outraged national conversation about women's security. The reality is, even in the national capital, there are almost no forensic facilities to prosecute rape cases properly. There is very little new infrastructure. And the nakas that we see on the road are mainly there for demonstrative effect. There's been no enhancement in police capacity. And yet we don't hold our leaders to account. Just some housekeeping rules. We'd be given the large number of speakers, and it would be great if you could try and keep your comments to between 10 and 15 minutes maybe, and that would give the audience an opportunity perhaps also to participate.